A newborn baby is thrown straight into the raging river the moment she takes her first breath. This isn't murder. It's the beginning of a brutal survival trial known as the drift. On the riverbank, her parents cheer, their faces alight with pride as if witnessing a rite of glory. All of this because the crown prince of the realm has been cursed. In 10 years he is fated to die in a great catastrophe. The only hope? To find the chosen girl through this merciless race. She alone can defy the prophecy and save the prince's life. From a grand platform, the emperor watches the crying infants thrash in the water, his expression filled with disdain. How can a bunch of wailing weaklings ever save my son? He scoffs. But as he lifts his telescope, something catches his eye. His gaze sharpens with sudden interest. That little runt. The emperor narrowed his eyes, but his tone shifted. There was interest now. She's different. The royal seer froze in disbelief. Could it be? Has your majesty found the chosen one? He quickly bowed, exclaiming, Congratulations, your majesty. A heaven-blessed princess is born. But the emperor's expression darkened. A daughter who can rule must be tested, not praised. He raised his hand, magic swirling at his fingertips in ancient patterns. With a swift incantation, a majestic dragon burst forth, coiling through the sky with crackling energy. It swooped down and unleashed a mighty breath toward the river below. Waves crashed violently and the babies began to scream in terror. Parents rushed to the shore shouting, This is madness. No reward is worth a child's life. But one infant, Quenlin, didn't flinch. She clung to her tiny raft with fierce resolve. Her eyes, still wet with river spray, glanced coldly at the parents who had already turned away. So be it, she thought without words. I'll rely on no one but myself. The emperor watched her and slowly smiled. She's the one. Bring her to me, he ordered. In a flash, the dragon surged downward and whisked Quenlin away, straight into the heart of the palace. The emperor caught the tiny infant in his hands, then lifted her by the scruff like a stray animal, scowling. What an ugly little runt. Quenlin gave him a sharp glare, her expression almost smug. Ugly? You dare call me that, you crusty old emperor? I'll give you one more chance, say it again. With a huff, the emperor tossed her to a nearby minister. Raise her for now. If she's useless in 10 years, I'll kill her myself. He added coldly, This palace doesn't keep dead weight. If she's still alive by 3, send her to clean the gutters. The minister was stunned. The emperor had always despised women. Any woman who had touched him met a swift end. Yet now, he'd held the girl himself? And so, Quenlin became the one and only princess of the Loro Empire, officially named Wasi Yujin. But the palace maids never treated her as royalty. She went 3 days without being fed, starving to the brink of death. Desperate, she unleashed her ultimate baby combo: wail, thrash, and fake a dramatic faint. A maid stomped over in irritation, snarling, Ugh, what are you crying for now? Shut it already. Quenlin instantly sensed danger. Sure enough, the bottle was shoved harshly into her mouth. The maid pinched her cheeks hard. Drink it and be quick about it. Tears welled up from the pain. One day she thought grimly, I'm going to kill you with my own hands. But for now, I'm just a squishy little baby. She reached out, sobbing for Sherry. Without hesitation, Sherry snatched her up and yelled, Catherine, how could you treat her like that? She's a princess. Catherine scoffed, standing up with a sneer. A princess? She's just a wild brat dragged in from the streets. Just then a shadow flashed past the window. See Yihin. Quenlin's eyes lit up. Perfect timing. She dolls herself up like that every day to get into his bed, doesn't she? Fine. Let me help speed things along. Quenlin took a deep breath, preparing her ultimate baby attack. With all her might, she opened her mouth and wailed louder than ever. She even knocked the bottle off the table, letting it crash to the floor as her cries echoed through the hall. Right on cue, the emperor stormed into the room, face thunderous. Speak. Why is the princess crying like this? If no one gives me a reason, you'll all die. Quenlin smirked inwardly. No need for questions. Just throw that witch into the dungeon already. But Catherine, sly as ever, pointed the blame squarely at kind-hearted Sherry. Quenlin, eyes glistening with tears, gave the emperor a look of heart-wrenching innocence, silently pleading. It's her. She's the monster. Just as Catherine reached out to grab her, Quenlin let out another explosive cry, louder than before. The emperor swiftly scooped her into his arms. Now that's strange. Just moments ago she was screaming bloody murder, and now in my arms, she's as sweet as a kitten. Quenlin glared at the tyrant emperor. Ugh, don't think just because I'm a baby I can't read your face. That look totally says, she's kinda cute. Admit it, old man. Meanwhile, Catherine spotted an opportunity. Her lifelong dream? To climb into the emperor's bed. Without a second thought, she threw herself at him, clinging shamelessly to his arm. Your Majesty, she purred, if you like children so much, I could give you one myself. Quenlin heard that and immediately rolled over, revealing the red welts still fresh on her tiny back. The emperor's gaze darkened, his entire face radiating murderous intent. Quenlin beamed inside. That's it. He got the message. Time to punish the wicked witch. Suddenly, the emperor yanked Catherine's wrist with chilling precision. You bear my child, he growled. Guards. Chop her into 8 pieces and toss what's left to the dogs. Quenlin stuck out her tongue and made a face. You were brought to the palace to care for me, not to sneak into royal sheets, you delusional peasant. The emperor turned away with disgust. Women, brainless, useless things. And yet, not a beat later, he gently wiped milk from Quenlin's mouth. Seriously? She thought, you insult women and then lovingly wipe my face? Do you not hear the contradiction? Just then the emperor glared at Sherry. If I even sense any impure intentions from you, I'll have you fed to the hounds. Quenlin immediately started pounding his chest with her tiny fists. Snowy's a good person. You leave her alone, stupid emperor. The emperor's usual cold demeanor softened ever so slightly. Was that affection in his eyes? You, he pointed at a maid, feed her. Quenlin had just taken a few sips of milk, when suddenly the emperor yanked her up like a kitten by the scruff. She puffed up with rage, glaring at him. Hey, what's the big idea, you overgrown tyrant? I was drinking. The emperor raised his hand, magic pulsing in his palm with a cool blue glow. Don't move. I'm healing you, he said, voice low and commanding. A steady stream of healing magic surged into Quenlin's small body, only to be instantly absorbed completely and effortlessly. Quenlin blinked in confusion. Wait, where's the healing part? I feel nothing. Did I just inhale magic for no reason? The emperor's eyes widened. Impossible. My healing spell had no effect. Refusing to believe it, he switched to a more powerful spell. Again, the magic disappeared the moment it touched her, consumed like water into sand. And yet, the bruises on her back remained untouched. Nearby, Sherry was frozen in disbelief. This can't be real. She absorbed the emperor's magic, every last drop. The emperor stared at her, his eyes narrowing with a flicker of something new, intrigue. Interesting. Quenlin's instinct screamed. Oh no. Dog emperor, don't you dare. I see that crazy gleam in your eye. Without a word, he hoisted her up like a sack of flour and strode out. Moments later, she was dumped in the royal council chamber, where a row of ministers eyed her like she was a newly discovered creature. One minister stepped forward, magic already glowing in his palm. Don't be afraid, princess. This won't hurt. In the blink of an eye, dozens of different spells shot toward her. And just like before, she absorbed them all instantly without even flinching. Gasps rang out around the hall. What the? Our magic. It's all gone. She absorbed everything. Quenlin blinked. Wait, those flashy things were spells. Kinda pretty. And that scar-faced guy just said none of their magic works on me? Does that mean I'm basically unkillable in this world? Sweet. The emperor stepped forward, frowning. Let me try one more thing. He summoned the dragon once more with a swirl of deadly magic. Devour that little nuisance, he commanded. As the beast lunged toward her, Quenlin crossed her arms. Come on then. If you've really got the guts to eat me, I'll admit defeat right here. She glared at the dragon, unflinching. Nice try, Scaly. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice? Not happening. Then without hesitation she spat right in its face. The emperor watched, utterly captivated. Fascinating. Attack spells, healing spells, she consumes them all. But fear? Intimidation? That she either can't absorb, or simply refuses to. His gaze hardened as he turned to the ministers. No one breathes a word of this. Not to anyone. With that, he grabbed Quenlin again and walked out without another glance. Effective immediately, the emperor ordered coldly, Princess Quenlin is stripped of all royal privileges. Sherry, take the little waste to the firewood shed. No need to treat her kindly, just make sure she doesn't die. He turned to his ministers. This must remain secret. If other kingdoms learn of her, she'll be dead long before the 10-year mark. Quenlin's jaw dropped. What the heck? I have magic immunity and instead of training me you're banishing me to the woodpile? Are you crazy, you wrinkled tyrant? That's it. I'm drawing a curse circle on the floor. May your beard fall off. The minister who caught her sighed inwardly. His Majesty's doing this to protect her, yes, but to a child it's cruelty. If she ever understands the truth, she may grow to resent him. And with that cursed mark on the emperor, even a sliver of hatred from someone he cares about can trigger it. As if on cue, dark wisps of resentment began to rise from Quenlin's back. The energy took the shape of a ghostly dagger and shot straight at the emperor. He winced. On his palm a glowing red mark appeared, one word, curse. It burned like fire, proof the curse had been awakened. And so, at the age of 3, Quenlin was exiled to the lowest rank of palace servants, her title erased. She slept in a cold, damp woodshed and became the favored target of bullying by the other so-called princesses. Everyone whispered the same tale. It all started when she spat on the emperor's dragon. After that, the emperor adopted 3 new girls as princesses. The most adored among them was Su Zhen, sweet-faced, well-dressed, and deceptively perfect. Her clothes, food, and jewels were the finest in the empire. But beneath the surface she was the cruelest of them all. At just 5 years old, she gleefully ordered guards to kick Quenlin to the ground like a stray dog. Quenlin gritted her teeth and pushed herself off the ground, her body aching, her mind repeating a single word, endure. She forced a smile onto her face, lifted the tattered hem of her dress, and bowed politely to Princess Zhen. I apologize, it was my fault. But in her heart she made a quiet vow. One day, I'll make everyone who humiliated me pay dearly. Without warning, Zhen slapped her across the face. With a smirk she ordered, polish my guard's boots, peasant. Far above, hidden within a tower, the emperor silently watched the entire scene through a spyglass. One minister couldn't help but whisper behind him, Your Majesty, today is the day of the cross-nation banquet. You're here instead of the palace. If this isn't concern, then what is it? The emperor scoffed, eyes still fixed on Quenlin. I'm just making sure she doesn't die before she's useful. The prince needs saving in 10 years. The minister said nothing but inwardly sighed. You cold-blooded liar. You've been watching her every night for 3 years. Exiling her as a servant was never punishment. It was protection. Only a fool would miss it. Suddenly Zhen clapped her hands. Kill her. Sherry dove in front of Quenlin, shielding her tiny frame as the guards began kicking her mercilessly. Please. I'll do it, Quenlin cried, tears brimming. I'll clean the boots. Just stop hurting her. Sherry shook her head. No, even without your title, you're still a girl with dignity. If you kneel today you may never stand again. Zhen's lips curled into a cruel grin. Then neither of them will live to regret it. Kill them with magic. A guard raised his hand and summoned a massive green serpent, its body coiling tightly around the 2 girls. The snake constricted tighter and tighter as Sherry screamed in agony and Quenlin gasped for breath. Back in the tower, the minister turned pale. Your Majesty. She used magic. If anyone sees Quenlin absorb it, your entire 3-year plan will fall apart. When the emperor didn't respond, the minister glanced back, only to find the spot where he once stood, completely empty. At that moment, the emperor was already soaring from the high tower, cloak billowing like wings. Magic surged around him like a storm unleashed. In the blink of an eye, a colossal black gold dragon roared into existence, diving down to sink its fangs into the green serpent. With a deafening shriek, both the snake and the guard were torn to pieces, disintegrating into dust. Princess Zhen stared in horror. What just happened? My snake, my guard, how did they die? Quenlin's eyes locked onto the familiar dragon above. That's the Emperor's dragon. Did he come to save me? Zhen, sensing danger, quickly changed tactics and ran toward the Emperor in tears. Throwing herself into his arms, she sobbed, "Father! Someone killed my guard. I demand justice. Let me avenge him." The emperor's gaze turned icy cold. A dark smirk formed on his lips. "You kill me." He spoke slowly, each word like thunder. "No need to investigate. The guard was killed by me." And with a flick of his hand he hurled Jin to the ground like discarded trash. Then, in a voice that echoed through the courtyard, Princess Jin attempted to harm Quenlin. "Death is her due, but with foreign guests arriving today I'll spare her for now. Guards, strip her of all royal garments. Dress her in a servant's rags. Give her silks to Princess Quenlin." Jin gasped in disbelief. "Father, no. I'm your favorite daughter. You can't mean this." But the emperor didn't even glance at her. He walked straight to the battered, filthy Quenlin, and for the first time, held her tightly in his arms, not as a burden, but as someone he chose to protect. Quenlin scoffed inwardly. "So now he's making me wear Princess Jin's clothes? Does this emperor want me dead or something? What will the other princesses think when they see me, a servant, wearing Jin's gown? They'll probably tear me apart." Inside the grand banquet hall, a few noblewomen greeted each other. "Lady Marrow, you've come as well?" "Yes, I thought I'd take a look at the emperor's princesses. I heard all of them would be attending today's banquet." "Oh, you must be hoping one of your sons will catch their eye? Too bad though. The Emperor of Karka is here today, not just for diplomatic relations, but to choose wives for his 18 sons. Your sons don't stand a chance." "I see. What a shame. I've been wondering why the emperor started adopting so many girls as princesses. Looks like it's all part of his marriage strategy." Just then the emperor walked in holding a beautiful Quenlin in his arms, and the entire hall fell silent. The guests assumed the girl in his arms was none other than Princess Jin, who was said to be the emperor's most beloved. The emperor sat on the dragon throne and placed Quenlin beside him, while Princess Jin, wearing a simple maid's dress, sat dejectedly at the side. The emperor glanced coldly at Jin and said, Are you even worthy of sitting here?" With a swift wave of his hand he used his magic to lift Jin into the air, and slammed her violently onto the floor, the impact echoing through the hall. Quenlin watched in shock, thinking to herself, that's a brutal fall. Wasn't Jin supposed to be his favorite? Why is the emperor being so harsh with her? At this moment the emperor wore a soft expression, his eyes filled with affection. He gently lifted Quenlin and placed her in the designated seat, smiling warmly. "This seat, it is meant for you, my Quenlin." Quenlin felt a warmth in her heart, her eyes welling up. "You treat Jin this way. Is it truly to avenge me?" Just then a noblewoman, stunned, recognized Quenlin. "Isn't that the Quenlin who's been relegated to the servant quarters? But wasn't the emperor's favorite Jin?" Princess Jin, hearing this, secretly cursed under her breath. "Quenlin, it's because of you that father is treating me like this. One day I'll make you pay for this." Princess Jin silently vowed in her heart, "One day I will make you pay for this." The emperor, in front of everyone, personally fed Quenlin a piece of delicious food. Quenlin opened her mouth obediently, but inside her mind raced. This dog emperor is being so kind to me today. Could he be setting me up for something bigger later on? After she finished, the emperor gently wiped the crumbs from the corner of her mouth with his long fingers. Seeing her lost in thought, the emperor asked, "What are you thinking about?" Quenlin cautiously replied, "Father, you've worked so hard. There's no need for you to feed me personally. How about having a servant help me instead?" The emperor nodded thoughtfully. "You're right. I should have a servant serve you. Jin, you will serve Princess Quenlin." The guests were shocked. Princess Jin reduced to a servant serving Quenlin? The atmosphere in the banquet hall froze instantly, everyone stunned by the scene. Princess Jin, with tears in her eyes, looked at the emperor and said, "Father, how could you do this to me? You want me to serve a lowly servant like her? How could you?" But the emperor coldly replied, "Hurry up. Are you defying my orders?" Reluctantly, Princess Jin stood on a chair and forced a smile. "Quenlin, what do you want to eat? Tell me quickly, I'll serve you." As she served the food, she thought to herself, "Eat up. I hope you choke on it." Quenlin, smiling innocently, took the food eagerly, but in her mind she thought, "I see now. This dog emperor is just building up hatred for me. After this banquet, anyone who wants to kill me will probably have to wait in line." Meanwhile, Emperor Nangong Chongyuan of Karka silently observed the scene. According to my intelligence, Emperor Si Yulia of Luo Empire indeed favors Shen. But today he's deliberately acting like he favors Quenlin more in front of me. He must have realized the real purpose of my visit. He's doing this to make me believe Quenlin is the one he loves most, thus protecting Shen, right? Emperor Si Yulia, what a clumsy trick. You really think you can deceive me? Princess Shen, your death is inevitable. 3 days ago, an advisor from the Karka Empire reported, Your Majesty, after 3 years I've finally figured it out. Among the 4 adopted daughters of the Luo Empire, one of them has the ability to summon magical beasts. Currently, the only remaining 3 ancient beasts are all kept beneath the Karka Empire's palace. If Emperor Si Yulia has ill intentions with just one command, that girl could easily summon those beasts. At that point, the destruction of the Karka Empire would be as easy as him raising a hand. Emperor Nangong Chongyuan looked at him in disbelief. Oh, just a little girl and she has such destructive power. The advisor responded, Your Majesty, I'm not exaggerating. To ensure the safety of our empire, please send someone to the Luo Empire to locate that girl and eliminate her to prevent any future disasters. Nangong Chongyuan furrowed his brow. How do we find this girl? The advisor answered, That girl is of great importance in the Luo Empire. Emperor Si Yulia must cherish her as his treasure. As long as we identify his most beloved princess and kill her, the rest will be easy to handle. Upon hearing this, Nangong Chongyuan made up his mind. Now it's clear. Princess Shen is Si Yulia's most beloved princess. All that's left is to find the right opportunity to kill her. Emperor Si Yulia coldly observed Nangong Chongyuan as he watched Princess Shen, his eyes filled with caution. He slightly raised the corner of his mouth and said coldly, All right Shen, you may leave now. Princess Shen quickly grabbed Si Yulia's sleeve, pleading, Father, I don't want to leave. But in her mind she was thinking, today with so many important people present, if I'm kicked out now, how will I face anyone afterward? Si Yulia shook off Shen's hand. Without even looking at her, he coldly uttered one word, leave. In the end, Princess Shen ran out of the banquet hall, crying. The guests, seeing this, whispered among themselves, My goodness! What's going on? Is Princess Shen's status really so low? How could she be kicked out of the banquet halfway? Is it because Quenlin has the upper hand, or is it that Princess Shen really has no status? Hearing the whispers, Si Yulia's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He would not allow anyone to insult his beloved daughter. Magic gathered in the palm of his hand as he prepared to annihilate those who dared to speak ill. However, Princess Quenlin, sensing his unusual mood, gently held his hand, and the magic dissipated instantly. Quenlin looked up at the emperor with innocent eyes and said softly, Father, I'm feeling unwell, may I return to rest for a while? Inside, Quenlin's mind raced. You crazy emperor. Are you really planning to kill people in front of everyone? You have power, you can kill anyone and no one will dare stop you, but what about me? Instead of staying here and being the target of everyone's hate, I'd rather slip away quietly. This detail did not escape the attention of King Nangong Chongyuan of Karka. He knew Si Yulia had killed countless people in his life and no one dared to stop him. Excellent. If the chance arises, I will make sure to eliminate her too, before she grows up to become his left-hand assistant. Si Yulia seemed to have noticed the unusual behavior of Nangong Chongyuan, a trace of wariness flashing in his eyes. He ordered his guard Srei to take Quenlin back to rest, away from the chaos of the banquet. Nangong Chongyuan raised his wine glass and smiled, saying, Si Yulia, it's been a long time, let's have a drink. Though Si Yulia raised his glass in response, his eyes remained fixed on Quenlin as she left, unease hidden beneath his calm demeanor. As they walked, Quenlin couldn't help but ask Srei, Does father really like her? His actions today seem so out of character I can't figure it out. Just as she spoke, a rustling sound came from the forest. Srei immediately sensed a murderous aura and said, Princess, be cautious. Someone is lying in wait in the forest. It seems that the emperor's concerns were not unfounded. Nangong Chongyuan's target is indeed the princesses. Comforting Quenlin, Srei thought to himself, I must deal with these assassins quickly, they can't harm the princess. Srei cast a spell and instantly, countless ravens flew toward the forest to scout and eliminate the enemies. However, before the ravens could reach the forest, They were blocked by a powerful magical barrier in the air. Sray's face darkened. He hadn't expected the enemy to be so quick, eliminating his ravens with a single move. These assassins were indeed formidable. Sray immediately ordered Quenlin to stay where she was and went to deal with the hidden enemies. Quenlin's heart raced as she worried, Sray won't be harmed, will he? To her surprise, Princess Jin suddenly appeared before her, furious, and forcefully pressed her to the ground. Princess Jin began to violently rub her into the floor, shouting, "Quenlin, you've made me suffer the most humiliating disgrace today. I swear I will make sure you die." Deep underground, 100 meters below the ground of the Luo Empire, a girl with a handkerchief covering her eyes was peeking at everything outside. She was Princess May, only 3 years old, with the special ability to spy on everything. The maid asked with concern, "Princess, what do you see?" Princess May slowly replied, "I saw Father Emperor eating with a group of people. I also saw Princess Jin and Princess Quenlin fighting." Suddenly, tears started flowing from the corners of her eyes. Ever since she was adopted by her father, she had been locked up here, unable to go anywhere. The maid anxiously tried to stop her, for the Emperor had instructed that Princess May was still young, and her magic usage time should not exceed 10 minutes per month. However, Princess May did not want to stop as she saw that Princess Jin and Princess Quenlin were in danger. She desperately broke free from the maid's grasp, determined to go out. "There are bad people trying to kill Princess Jin and Princess Quenlin." Meanwhile, Sray had already defeated many of the assassins. But the assassins noticed that Sray's attacks were starting to slow down, likely due to the depletion of his magic. They decided to team up and kill him now. The assassins combined their magic into a giant dragon, and a fireball began to form in its mouth. Sray scoffed at the sight, saying, "Your dragon is nothing compared to His Majesty's." He then cast a powerful spell and shouted, "Blood ravens, tear these fools apart." The blood ravens swiftly pounced on the assassins, surrounding them and tearing through anything that stood in their way. Princess Jin pressed Quenlin to the ground, sneering, "You lowly servant, how dare you fight me for his favor? I'll strangle you." Just then, a sharp blade suddenly emerged from the ground behind Princess Jin, aimed at her. Quenlin struggled to shout, "Help!" but inwardly cursed, "Damn it, we're only 2 years apart, but at 3 years old I'm no match for 5-year-old Princess Jin." The blade struck Princess Jin's body and Quenlin watched helplessly as it neared her own body. Just as the blade was about to touch Quenlin, it suddenly dissolved into nothingness. Quenlin guessed, was that another form of magical attack? As Quenlin's secret was about to be exposed, the Emperor summoned a dragon, and with a breath of ice magic he froze the blade instantly. The frozen blade shattered into countless pieces in an instant. Princess Jin, unable to believe what had just happened, cried out in pain, "Celia, what have you done to me? I feel so cold, it hurts." She pleaded desperately, "Save me. I don't want to die." Suddenly, Quenlin felt the familiar aura of her father, and with joy, she called out, "Father, are you here to save us?" She continued excitedly, "Father, please come quickly. Princess Jin is badly hurt, please save her." However, Celia's expression remained cold as he answered, "No need. She is already dead." Afterward, Celia struck Quenlin with a hand chop, knocking her unconscious and gently holding her in his arms. It was a good thing he arrived in time, or else the little princess's ability to absorb magic would have been exposed. The guards rushed over to apologize. Their failure had caused harm to the princess. However, the Emperor did not blame them, instead casually handing Quenlin over to them, ordering them to throw her back into the servant quarters. As long as she didn't starve to death, it was fine. The Emperor gently stroked the now-dead Princess Jin, his serious expression showing a hint of sadness. She was one of the princesses he had adopted, and he couldn't let her die in vain. The Emperor ordered that the news of Princess Jin's assassination and Princess Quenlin's serious injury be spread, ensuring that the king of the Karka Empire heard it. Within minutes, the news spread throughout the entire palace, and the king of the Karka Empire pretended to be sorrowful, expressing his condolences to Celia. Afterward, the king of the Karka Empire bid farewell to Celia, and Celia remained cold and indifferent. In his heart, Celia thought angrily, "Celia, what are you pretending to be so aloof for? I came here out of respect for you, it's your honor. Yet you treat me with such a cold expression, how infuriating." Fine, you must be devastated after losing Princess Zhen, right? I am magnanimous and won't hold it against you. Anyway, soon I'll send you to meet your precious princess, just wait. Watching the king of the Karka Empire leave, a minister asked, Your Majesty, are you really going to let them go just like that? Celia coldly replied, Humph, do you think I would let them go after they openly killed my princess on my territory? He killed my princess, so I'll kill several of his princes, to accompany my precious Zhen. Late that night, the emperor quietly walked towards the servant quarters to visit Quenlin. Xiao Jin seemed to sense someone watching her and suddenly opened her eyes. The emperor intended to use magic to make her fall back asleep, but the spell was instantly absorbed by her. Only then did he realize she had the ability to absorb magic. Xiao Jin blinked her bright eyes, wondering, Is Father Emperor here to see me? The emperor turned away, coldly and contradictorily saying he wasn't here to see her. Xiao Jin lowered her head in disappointment, thinking, If he really cared for me, why would he make me live in such a lonely, cold hut? Suddenly, Sherry's coughing broke the silence of the night. Xiao Jin hurriedly asked with concern, Sherry, are you okay? A trace of blood appeared at the corner of Sherry's mouth as she weakly reached up to caress Xiao Jin's cheek, saying, Princess, I don't have much time left. Xiao Jin listened to Sherry's last words, tears pooling in her eyes, threatening to fall. With great difficulty, Sherry sat up, asking the emperor to restore the princess's proper treatment. Xiao Jin threw herself into Sherry's arms, crying uncontrollably, not wanting Sherry to leave her side. Then she knelt before the emperor, looking at him with tear-filled eyes. Father Emperor, please save Sherry. She was badly hurt while saving me. She was fine during the day, but now, Xiao Jin choked on her words, she's been coughing up blood. Please, I beg you, save her. Seeing the emperor's indifference, Xiao Jin grabbed his hand again and quietly asked, Father Emperor, can you use magic to heal her? The emperor's expression remained cold and detached. My magic is not to be wasted on a lowly servant. He shook off her small hand. Xiao Jin lost her balance and fell heavily to the ground, silently telling herself, I cannot cry. Struggling to rise, she clenched her teeth and said, You heartless emperor, I've begged you so humbly and you treat me like this? But for Sherry, she wiped away the tears at the corners of her eyes and grabbed the emperor's sleeve. With a bright, innocent smile, she softly pleaded, Father Emperor, please save Sherry, will you? Sherry spoke weakly, A person like me so lowly doesn't deserve your grace. Princess, please don't trouble the emperor any longer. Princess. Sherry coughed up blood again and whispered, After I'm gone, please take care of yourself. Seeing this, Xiao Jin's heart broke and more tears flowed. She knelt before the emperor once more, pleading, Please save Sherry. I can't lose her. The emperor finally spoke, It is impossible for me to heal her, but I can find someone who will. Then the emperor cast a spell and summoned a minister from his bed. The minister, confused, asked, What's happened? Why did the emperor summon me at such a late hour? The emperor replied coldly, Nothing much, just need you to heal a servant. The minister was shocked, exclaiming, A servant? How could this be? I am a scholar respected by all, how could I heal a mere servant? Xiao Jin tightly grasped the minister's hand and softly said, You are so respected by everyone, surely you wouldn't stand by and let her suffer, right? Eventually, the minister couldn't resist the little princess's pleading and agreed to heal Sherry, casting a healing spell on her. However, Sherry kept begging the minister to stop, feeling that a person of her low status didn't deserve such treatment. Xiao Jin sternly told Sherry, Don't you dare say such things again. Xiao Jin held Sherry's hand and firmly said, Everyone is born equal, there is no such thing as high or low status. In my heart you are the most important. I will not allow you to say you're lowly again. Sherry, relax and let the old gentleman treat you. If you feel indebted to me, then take care of me in the future. As for the old gentleman, I will find a way to repay him, don't worry about that. The minister looked at the little princess with admiration, thinking to himself, Truly the chosen one, her thoughts, her temperament, her charm, are worlds apart from those delicate princesses I have seen. After the treatment, the minister reported to the little princess, Sherry's injuries are no longer a concern and from now on she will be much more resistant to regular physical harm. Xiao Jin smiled and raised her skirt, thanking the minister with both hands. Unexpectedly, the emperor suddenly felt jealous and walked away without a word. The minister hurried after the emperor, laughing, "Your Majesty, Princess Jean is truly adorable. In all my years I've seen many princesses, but none are like Princess Jean." Your Majesty, why are you silent?" The emperor coldly said, "You want to save that servant? I have my own ways of handling it. But why does she thank you and not me?" He continued, "She says the servant is most important to her. So, are you saying I'm not as important as a lowly servant in her heart?" The minister grew anxious, thinking, "The emperor is angry? I need to change the topic fast or he'll really lose his temper, and that's terrifying." Seeing the emperor fuming, the minister quickly said, "Your Majesty, Princess Jean has been in the palace for 3 years now. Since she was brought here to protect Prince Shuokong from calamity. Perhaps it's time to find an opportunity for them to meet, to build some rapport? After all, once they have a bond, if Princess Jean sacrifices herself for the prince, it will seem natural and voluntary." The emperor thought for a moment and agreed, asking, "What do you think is the best way for them to meet?" The minister thought briefly and replied, "If they are to meet, it shouldn't seem too forced. For example, we could arrange a spring outing, have a small accident, and then Prince Shuokong could appear and save the princess." The emperor nodded and ordered the minister to arrange it. Early the next morning, Princess Jean was sent to dine in the outdoors. She couldn't help but think, why not eat in the storeroom? Why come to this mosquito-infested place? At that moment, the minister brought Prince Shuokong to a meadow, pointing to a small girl in the distance. "Take a good look, she will be your future wife. In 7 years, you will face a great calamity and lose your life in the process. Only she can save you. Before that, you need to build a strong relationship with her, so she will willingly sacrifice herself to save you." The prince gazed at the girl in the distance, lost in thought. He could only survive thanks to his father's magic. According to the minister's divination, he wouldn't live past 11, and only the chosen one could save him. However, the price for saving him was a life for a life. He didn't want anyone to sacrifice for him, but he couldn't refuse his father's arrangement. To speed up their relationship, the emperor intentionally created a hailstorm, hoping his son could play the role of the hero rescuing the princess and win Princess Jin's heart. Clever Xiao Jin immediately saw through the emperor's plan. She wondered what madness the dog emperor was up to again. Why summon a hailstorm? Did he want to smash her to death? Taking advantage of the strong winds, the minister urged the prince to rescue Princess Jean, so she would willingly sacrifice for him. The prince clenched his fists and shouted loudly, "I don't want anyone to sacrifice for me." The emperor sighed in frustration, thinking, "It's truly disappointing. My son is useless. Looks like I have to rely on myself." He withdrew the magic he had just cast and muttered, "Little one, come into the bowl." Xiao Jin was swept up by a gust of wind and flew into the air. The emperor grabbed her clothes and said seriously, "I'm going to introduce you to someone. You must treat her well." Xiao Jin opened her mouth in surprise and asked, "Who is this person you're introducing?" The emperor answered with a stern expression, "My son, Prince Si Shuokong of the Luo Luo Empire." Xiao Jin stared dreamily at the young prince, thinking to herself, "Wow, the young prince is just too cute." Seeing this, the emperor and the minister quietly left, giving them some private space to build their relationship. Once it was just the two of them, the atmosphere turned awkward. Xiao Jin thought to herself, "What's going on? This Shuokong prince doesn't seem too happy. I don't know why the dog emperor wants me to meet this prince, but trying to please him shouldn't be wrong, right?" To break the silence, Xiao Jin cheerfully extended her hand, smiling as she introduced herself, "I'm Si Eugene." To her surprise, the young prince suddenly shoved her to the ground, then harshly threatened, "Don't come near me." Xiao Jin endured the pain and forced a smile. "You don't have to worry, prince. I won't disturb you." Inside she thought bitterly, the dog emperor likes to hit people and his son is no better. I'll have to endure. The prince tried to act even fiercer, thinking, if I can just push her away, I won't have to worry about her sacrificing herself for me. You're just a lowly adopted child from the commoners. How dare you get close to me? After speaking, he shoved her down once more. Then the prince quickly turned and ran off. His name was Si Shuokong and he was frail and sickly from birth. If it hadn't been for his father's insistence on using magic to prolong his life, he would have died shortly after birth. The Rada scholar had predicted his fate countless times. Despite his father's careful care and daily magical nourishment, he wouldn't live past 11. It was said that at 11 years old, the Luo Empire would face a great calamity and he would die in it. However, 3 years ago the Rada scholar suddenly claimed that a chosen one could save him. It was only today that he realized the price of her saving him was her own sacrifice. No, he didn't want to build any relationship with that girl. He didn't want anyone to sacrifice for him. He clutched his chest in pain, coughing continuously. Just then Xiao Jin chased after him, shouting, "You're a prince, but as a prince, does that mean you can freely degrade others?" As she spoke, she suddenly leaped at the prince, pinning him firmly to the ground. The prince's cheek flushed slightly. Xiao Jin stared at the prince and said, "You call me lowly, but what are you? How much more noble are you than me? Is birth something you can control? Why is it that because you came from the queen's womb, you can trample on those of us born from commoners? Compared to us, you're just a little luckier." With that, Xiao Jin's small fist landed squarely on the prince's face. Lying on the ground, the prince thought, "No one has ever spoken to me like this, but why does it sound so right? Yeah, compared to her, how much nobler am I really?" At that moment, the emperor walked over and asked, "What are you two doing?" Xiao Jin nervously turned around, thinking to herself, "Oh, it's the damn emperor." The emperor looked at the prince, asking with concern, "Are you all right?" Xiao Jin stood to the side, staring intently at the prince. The prince nervously replied, "Your Majesty, I am fine." But as soon as he spoke, his face flushed bright red, clearly because he was lying. The emperor cast a healing spell on the prince while coldly saying, "Pathetic. To be beaten by a girl younger than you." Xiao Jin watched this scene, thinking to herself, "So, this so-called cold and heartless emperor, who is said to kill without hesitation, actually has such a gentle side. I don't know why, but seeing the father and son getting along so well, I suddenly miss my parents from the 21st century. I wonder how they've been these past 3 years. Do they miss me? And Xiao Yi, my love. I wonder what happened to him after that car accident. I really miss them." It turned out that she was a regular college student from the 21st century, who had been in a terrible car accident while on a date with her boyfriend. When she woke up again, she found herself in a different world, reincarnated as a 3-month-old baby. The emperor, noticing Xiao Jin crying, gently patted her head. He said in a low voice, "So you beat my prince and now you're afraid?" Xiao Jin's heart raced with fear. "Oh no, I just hit the only prince in this country. The dog emperor already doesn't like me much, now he must want to get rid of me." She quickly decided to play the victim, clutching her stomach and saying, "Father Emperor, my stomach hurts so much." She put on her best performance, thinking, "If I pretend my stomach hurts, maybe I won't get punished." The emperor, with a mocking tone, said, "You were so tough when you were hitting, but now you can't handle a little pain?" Suddenly, Xiao Jin felt something was wrong, and she collapsed to the ground, crying out in pain, "It really hurts." She felt a burning sensation inside her, as if something was about to burst out of her body. It was so painful. Trembling, she reached out to the emperor, begging, "Father Emperor, please help me." At that moment, the emperor realized she wasn't faking it. Could it really be pain? The prince suddenly noticed that Xiao Jin's stomach had started to swell. Could it be that he had made Xiao Jin pregnant? The emperor immediately cast a magic probe on Xiao Jin. But at that moment her belly grew even larger. And she clutched her stomach, crying out in agony, "My stomach hurts so much." The emperor was also extremely anxious, thinking, "Damn it, I can't use magic to figure out what's wrong with her body," and after absorbing the magic her belly seems to have gotten even bigger. What's happening? Suddenly, a squeaking sound came from inside Xiao Jin's stomach. Xiao Jin's heart raced in fear, thinking, "What was that sound? It seemed to come from my belly. Does that mean there's something inside me? Oh my god, could it be a baby? No way, I'm only 3 years old in this body. How could I have a baby? No, I've never even held hands with my boyfriend Xiao Yi in my past life, let alone kissed him. My stomach hurts so much. It feels like I'm going into labor." With that, Xiao Jin screamed loudly. The emperor watched as Xiao Jin radiated a mysterious glow, thinking to himself, "This little one looks so frail, yet within her lies such powerful magic. Truly incredible." Soon, a little panda appeared beside Xiao Jin, continuously making squeaking noises. The prince, astonished, exclaimed, "Father, look, this girl just gave birth to a puppy." Upon hearing this, the panda bared its teeth at the prince as if protesting, "I'm a panda, not a dog." The prince was startled by its fierce look, exclaiming, "How fierce? This little dog is just as fierce as this girl." The emperor smiled faintly. "This little one is quite interesting. I haven't even taught you magic yet, and yet you already have control over your own magical creature." He turned to a guard. "Take Princess Jin's things and have them moved to the prince's palace. Starting tomorrow, Princess Jin will learn magic alongside Prince Shuokong." He thought to himself, "Since this girl's magical talent is so strong, rather than having me protect her until she turns 10, it's better to teach her how to protect herself." Then Srey gently picked up the unconscious Xiao Jin, and the little panda hung on Srey's clothes. Srey finally noticed the little creature, wondering, could this be Princess Jin's magical companion? She's already managed to summon a magical creature at such a young age? Xiao Jin didn't wake up until late at night. When she finally regained consciousness, she still felt dizzy, weak, and wondered if she had contracted some serious illness. What stunned her even more was that she had somehow given birth to something. Sherry gently comforted her. "That's because you've overused your magic. And it's not a baby, it's your magical companion. It couldn't wait to see you, so it came out early." Xiao Jin had never heard the term magical companion before and had no idea what it meant. Sherry patiently explained, "A magical companion is a crystallization formed by a mage's magic. Everyone's magical companion is different. Most are animals. For example, Lord Srey's magical companion is a raven, the Emperor's is a dragon, and the guard who attacked us earlier had a giant snake as his magical companion. Once a magical companion is formed, it grows stronger as its master's abilities increase. When it's strong enough, it can protect its master." Xiao Jin suddenly understood, so that's how it is. She happily picked up the cute little panda and thought, if it weren't so painful to give birth to a magical companion, I'd want to have a few more. She couldn't help but imagine the Emperor's expression when he summoned a dragon. Sherry gently pushed Xiao Jin's hand away from the magical companion and smiled. "Princess, drink your medicine first. Only then can you pet your cute little puppy." Xiao Jin looked at Sherry in disbelief. "Isn't this a panda? Why call it a puppy?" Sherry urgently said, "Princess, stop asking. Please drink your medicine. Lord Srey said you won't get better without it." Xiao Jin nodded obediently. "All right, my dear Sherry, I'll drink it now." Xiao Jin suddenly noticed that Sherry's attitude was different. She kept calling him Lord Srey. Could it be? At that moment, the Emperor was observing Xiao Jin's room through a telescope. The minister said, "Your Majesty, you can rest assured now. Princess Jin will recover soon after taking those medicines." The minister finally understood the Emperor's arrangement for Princess Jin to stay in that room. Observing from here was indeed convenient. The Emperor grumbled, "Useless little one, just summoning a magical companion almost got herself killed. Truly useless." The minister hurriedly said, "Although summoning a magical companion is a basic ability for mages, Princess Jin has never received such training. How can you say she lacks ability?" He thought to himself, "Not to mention your Majesty is so powerful, but I've never seen anyone summon their magical companion at the age of 3. Prince Shuokong has been receiving magic training for almost a year, yet he still hasn't successfully summoned his magical companion." The official muttered under his breath, though he dared not speak aloud, "Not to mention his Majesty is so powerful, yet I've never seen anyone, let alone a 3-year-old, summon their magical creature. Prince Shuokong has been receiving magical training for almost a year, and he still hasn't been able to summon his creature." The Emperor, overhearing, sneered, "A genius? She's far from it." The official, watching the Emperor walk away, couldn't help but comment, "Look at this kid, that smile he's trying to hide, clearly proud of himself, yet pretending to be aloof. Ah, it's been so long I almost forgot that His Majesty used to be a child who smiled. It's a pity after that incident His Majesty hasn't smiled since. He became a bloodthirsty demon, and every woman who tried to get close to him was slain by his sword. Even Queen Shuer, the biological mother of Prince Shuokong, was not spared. But luckily, since that child came along, His Majesty seems to have softened. That child. She truly has a magical power. Anyone who meets her can't help but be infected by her smile. The next day, Xiao Jin and the prince attended magic class together, along with Princess Mei, who was also a new student. On the other hand, Siyu Shan and Prince Xuankong had started their magic lessons a year ago. However, what was strange was that Xiao Jin couldn't feel any trace of magic from them. Moreover, this Princess Mei, whom Xiao Jin had never met before, made her feel that something about her was rather unusual. At that moment, the magic teacher entered the classroom. Noticing the new students, he smiled and said, "Since we have new classmates today, let me introduce myself. I am your genius magic teacher, Ikefan Wan." The Ikefan family has been the magic instructors for the emperors of the Lolo Empire for generations. Over the centuries, we've produced several outstanding emperors. But I never imagined that in my generation, I would have to teach not only a prince, but also a few girls from inferior bloodlines. What a disgrace. He casually noticed the magic item that Xiao Jin was carrying and immediately felt a surge of jealousy. Without a second thought, he summoned a large snake and directed it towards Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin, frightened, closed her eyes tightly. The snake struck, swallowing the little panda in one gulp. Xiao Jin, tearfully wide-eyed, gasped, "My little panda was eaten." She looked up, eyes brimming with tears, and said pitifully, "Teacher, that's my magical creature, not just a pet." The magic teacher scoffed, "What nonsense are you spouting? How old are you? 3 or 4 years old. With your tiny body, how could you possibly have your own magical creature? Inferior humans are always inferior. To lie like this in front of me, how laughable." At this moment, the emperor was walking toward the classroom with the minister. The minister said, "The princes are being taught by teacher Ikefan. There's no problem at all, your majesty. Why do you?" The emperor coldly replied, "No, I want you to be their teacher. You must train them to be intermediate magic users within a year. Otherwise, I'll deduct 10 years of your salary." The minister, though angered, maintained a polite, forced smile. 10 years' salary? Your majesty, you really... As the emperor reached the door of the classroom, he overheard a voice inside. "Do you think you're a genius? A genius even more powerful than our majesty? If you don't listen to me and bring your pet here without permission, you deserve punishment. I'm the emperor's appointed royal tutor. No matter how I punish you, how I hit you, his majesty will never blame me, understand?" Upon hearing the teacher's words, the emperor's face darkened instantly. The minister quickly said, "Your majesty, I will go in right now to see what has happened." The emperor stopped the minister, saying coldly, "No need to rush, let's first see what's happened." So the emperor and the minister stood outside the door, planning to observe the situation first, in case there was a misunderstanding. Inside the classroom, the prince stood in front of Xiao Jin, declaring firmly, "As long as I'm here, no one can hurt my sister." Princess Shan, terrified, collapsed to the ground, crying, "This is too scary, I want to go home." Princess Mei, staying calm, asked, "Now that you're done fighting, can we start the class?" The minister, watching the situation inside, thought to himself, "The Ikefan family produces elites, so why is this guy acting so cowardly? Wait a minute, those injuries on him are from magical attacks. Could it be that these kids hurt Ikefan? Oh, it's impossible. How could they have the power to injure a grown magic master?" The emperor's lips curled into a slight smile as he murmured, "Interesting." He then walked into the classroom and asked directly, "Ikefan, who injured you just now?" Seeing the emperor come to investigate, Xiao Jin immediately became flustered. After all, the prince had only attacked the teacher because of her, and she couldn't let the prince be heavily punished. To her surprise, Ikefan actually went to the emperor and complained that it was Princess Jin who had injured him. After all, the prince was the emperor's biological son, and accusing the prince was like throwing himself into the fire. The emperor coldly stared at Xiao Jin and asked, "Did you hurt Ikefan the teacher? Do you know that not only is he Zhuangkong's teacher, but he is also the son of my own mentor?" Upon hearing his father's question, the prince immediately slumped, while Xiao Jin felt an ominous sense of foreboding. The prince said nothing, meaning he wanted her to take the blame? "Fine, I'll take the fall for this." Xiao Jin took a deep breath and softly replied, "Father, it was I who hurt Ikefan." The emperor fixed his sharp gaze on her. "Why did you hurt the teacher?" The prince lowered his head, avoiding the emperor's question, offering no answer. Seeing this, Xiao Jin quickly put on a tearful expression, her voice trembling as she said, "Ikefan ate my magical creature and I was so upset that I hit him. The emperor stared at her deeply, a hint of doubt in his eyes. You have such power to injure Ikefan like this? Xiaojin hesitantly nodded, but in her mind she cursed, Stupid emperor, are you really asking this on purpose? Do you think I have such power? Xiaojin's eyes filled with tears of grievance, thinking to herself, why won't he skip this topic? Please don't ask any more questions. The emperor, watching the prince who had remained silent, began to wonder if he should reconsider the heir to the throne. While even the weakest child could grow stronger one day, if they showed no sense of responsibility, they were unfit to rule a nation. Then he ordered Xiaojin to strike the teacher again right in front of him. Ikefan's worldview instantly collapsed. Your Majesty, are you serious? Xiaojin was left utterly confused, thinking, has this damn emperor lost his mind? At this moment, the silent prince finally broke the stalemate. He gathered his courage and admitted his mistake. Father, it was I who did it. Please don't punish her. Although the emperor was somewhat dissatisfied with the prince's behavior, he still saw potential. However, he coldly said, this still isn't enough. You've been learning for a year and still haven't summoned a single magical creature, and yet you managed to injure your teacher. Xijing quickly. Show me how you injured him just now. Otherwise, I'll have you executed. Xiaojin felt utterly speechless, thinking to herself, it doesn't matter either way, I'm doomed. This bastard teacher had eaten her little panda, and now she had the perfect opportunity for revenge. She was going for it. She would beat him to death first. She used all her strength, spun her little fists 39 times and hit him hard. Ikefan could only sit there, not daring to resist, as she pummeled him with her little fists. He thought that a child's punches wouldn't hurt, but to his surprise, this princess had incredible strength. Her punches were almost breaking his bones. Could it be that she had already awakened her magic? Ikefan's face darkened. Lowly thing, die. He then quietly cast a spell. A venomous snake shot toward Xiaojin, aiming to bite her. Just then the prince suddenly moved, grabbing the snake. He declared with righteous indignation, I was the one who hit her. Do not harm the innocent. Suddenly the snake's body expanded rapidly, causing the prince to jump back in shock. The snake quickly coiled around the prince's body, and just as it was about to attack Xiaojin, the prince shouted, What are you waiting for? Run. Xiaojin knew that magic wouldn't affect her, but to cooperate with the prince she could only pretend. She cried out, Father, help me. She flew over and clung to the emperor's leg, shouting, Father, I'm scared. Please save the prince. The emperor's voice was cold as he said, How dare you commit violence in front of me? He then cast a spell, freezing the snake in an instant. Xiaojin couldn't help but think, wow, that's amazing. When will I be able to have such powerful magic? If I do, no one will be able to bully me and Shueli anymore. With a crisp snap, the giant snake was torn apart. Xiaojin immediately ran over to the prince, anxiously asking, Are you okay? She thought to herself, you can't win against them, yet you still step in front. If you keep this up, you'll only end up at a disadvantage. On the other hand, when the prince saved me earlier, he was actually quite impressive. Suddenly, the prince began to cough violently. Xiaojin looked at him nervously, thinking, why is his face so pale? Did he get hurt when he saved me earlier? It makes sense though, he's only 4 years old. How could he fight an adult magic master without getting injured? Ikefan kneeled and begged for mercy. Yet he still held on to a sliver of hope, thinking that his majesty wouldn't punish him. After all, his family had existed for nearly 1,000 years. Xiaojin angrily thought, this bad guy, just go and get your boxed lunch already. The emperor looked at Ikefan coldly and said, since you injured the prince, you will no longer be his teacher. Go to Srei and find yourself another position. He then cast a spell and threw Ikefan out of the window. Xiaojin was utterly surprised, thinking, what's going on? Why didn't the emperor give him a boxed lunch? Could it be that Ikefan's background is so powerful that even the emperor has to show some respect? At this moment, Ikefan's heart was filled with deep resentment. Siyu Liu was furious, shouting, you actually hit me and revoked my position as the prince's tutor. At this moment, the minister finally understood why his majesty insisted on being the prince's tutor. Ikefan had probably already betrayed them. The gem around his neck must belong to the royal family of the Kakati Empire, right? What was unclear was whether he was the only one who betrayed them, or if the entire Ikafen family had turned. If it's just him, that's manageable, but if it's the whole family, that would be troublesome. Suddenly, the prince collapsed to the ground, coughing up blood. Both the emperor and the minister were immediately tense with worry. Princess Shan quickly shoved Xiaojin aside and exclaimed, "Prince Xuankong, are you okay?" The prince's magical creature was trembling in fear. It then walked out, sobbing, and leaned into the prince's arms. The emperor gently picked up the prince and said to the others, "He's fine." The prince's magical creature, a rabbit, looked up at the emperor with teary eyes, clearly showing a "I'm so scared" expression. However, the emperor shot a cold glare at the rabbit. The rabbit was immediately so frightened that it fainted. The minister, seeing this, thought to himself, "This delicate rabbit is Xuankong's magical creature? Oh, it's too weak. How can such a magical creature protect the prince in the future? Sigh. It seems His Majesty will have to worry about the prince again." Xiaojin anxiously asked, "Shueli, is Xuankong injured so badly? It looks like his lungs might have been coughed out." Shueli patiently advised, "Princess, Xuankong has been weak and sickly since childhood. Since you said he was injured because he saved you, you must treat him well from now on. You can't hit him again." Xiaojin awkwardly smiled and thought, "Silly Shueli, why does your expression look like you're advising a brutal abuser to stop beating his fragile wife?" Xiaojin and Shueli asked to see the prince outside his door. The healing magic doctor Loki allowed them to enter. Approaching the prince's bedside, Xiaojin anxiously asked, "Xuankong, are you okay?" The prince covered his mouth and coughed, replying, "I'm fine." But the next moment, there was a patch of blood in his palm. Xiaojin was shocked to see how badly the prince had been injured. Could it be that his teeth were knocked out? The emperor personally wiped the blood from the prince's mouth. He said to Xiaojin, "Xuankong is fine. If you're scared, you can leave now." The emperor comforted the prince again, saying, "Don't worry, no matter how many times you lose your teeth, your father can use magic to grow them back." Xiaojin thought to herself, is the emperor implying that the young prince frequently loses his teeth? Pale complexion, lethargy, bruising under the skin, coughing up blood, and losing teeth. Oh my god, these symptoms seem so familiar. Xiaojin immediately stepped forward to check the prince's mouth. Everyone looked on in surprise as Xiaojin examined the prince. Loki said with displeasure, "Princess, you're examining Prince Xuankong so carefully, do you have something to say?" "Your Majesty, who is this impudent little girl? Why haven't you executed her yet?" Xiaojin curtsied to Loki and replied with a smile, "I do have something to say, but I'm not sure if Grandpa will let me speak." Loki, extremely displeased, snorted, Since you're already saying that, how could I stop you from speaking? Speak quickly. Don't disturb me while I treat the prince, or if you delay his treatment, watch out for your life." Little Jin's eyes sparkled with excitement as she said eagerly, "Then I'll go ahead and say it. Grandpa, may I try treating Prince Xuankong's illness?" She thought to herself, if I'm right, the prince must be suffering from scurvy. A simple dose of vitamin C should help. But since I'm only 3 years old, I'm worried no one will believe me if I say it out loud. I just hope they'll let me give it a try. Loki's eyes widened in disbelief. Where did this wild child come from? How dare you speak to me like that? Turning to the emperor with urgency, he pleaded, "Your Majesty, I implore you to execute this disrespectful child immediately. If not, I won't be able to continue treating the prince." The emperor gave a cold smile, his voice full of authority. "Show some respect. This is none other than the renowned magic physician, Master Loki." He paused for a moment, his tone sharp. "The prince's illness has resisted treatment for 3 years under Master Loki's care. What could a 3-year-old child possibly understand?" The emperor then shoved little Jean aside. Unfazed, little Jean ran back towards them, a smile flickering at the corners of her mouth. "Father, I know that the elderly master who can treat the prince must be incredibly powerful." Her tone shifted slightly and she spoke thoughtfully, "But I was wondering, since magic has failed to heal the prince in 3 years, could it be that the prince's illness has nothing to do with magic?" Loki's face flushed with fury. "Nonsense. Is there anything that magic cannot solve? Besides, the prince is frail. I've been using both magic and ancient healing techniques to treat him." His anger boiled over. Where did this wild child come from to question my skills? This is too much. Why hasn't the emperor executed her yet? Little Jean, however, remained calm, determined to make Loki listen. She first nodded respectfully to magic. Magic is indeed powerful, capable of curing even the incurable. But, she paused, her gaze unwavering, records from history show that magic has only been in use for about 10,000 years. She took a small step forward, her voice steady. Before magic, people treated illness with other methods, such as medicinal treatments, mental therapy, and even psychological healing. Looking directly at Loki, she concluded, "So I believe that the prince may not need magic, but something else entirely." Loki was completely stunned. A 3-year-old child saying things like that? When I was 3, I was just playing with mud. The emperor, standing by, fell into deep thought. Those history books, even he had to force himself to get through, but here was this little girl, so young yet able to read them with such calm focus. A smile tugged at the corner of his mouth, almost imperceptibly. "In that case, we'll give it a try." His voice was steady but firm. "However, if the prince's condition doesn't improve within a month, I won't spare you." Loki's face paled in disbelief. "Your Majesty, how could you make such a decision? The prince's illness is not something to be trifled with." He dropped to his knees in shock. "How can you let this child try such a thing? This is far too dangerous." Before Loki could protest further, the weak prince suddenly pushed himself off the bed and began walking toward little Jean. He looked at her with unwavering trust in his eyes and said softly, "I believe in you. You'll heal me, right?" Feeling the prince's trust, little Jin's confidence surged. She nodded earnestly. "I'll do everything I can to heal you." But she gently added, "It's a bit late today. I'll begin the treatment tomorrow." Loki, standing off to the side, could only sigh in resignation. "I really can't deal with these children." Fine, fine," he shook his head in defeat. "I'll watch over this little girl. Let's just make sure she doesn't hurt the prince." He sighed again. "Ah,